Yo, what is up, guys? It's me, Eve, again here, as always, playing Tokyo Ghoul Break the Chains. And in today's video, we're gonna talk about all of the new features, a little bit deeper in them, and how you want to get all of this and how they work. All of this stuff, we're gonna talk about it today. But mostly, it's gonna be about the newer C-cell system, salvaging C-cells, and as well as the crystal exchange. Who should you be picking, and all of that stuff. And just to get it out of the way, let's start with the crystal exchange here as the first one. So what you need to do is you need to have 8 of those dupes for any characters. Doesn't matter who are they. So you can exchange them, but I definitely recommend you use only the useless ones that you will definitely never use. For example, like this one, or like some characters that you already maxed out, like Naki, Noro could be those characters. You can easily do that for them, as well as maybe a good stuff that you can do is use these orc tickets that you usually have. You can use it to get yourself some of these copies or some extra dupes, as well as real-time just a standard arena. You can use it to get some characters from here as well, and then use it to exchange for the crystals. That also works greatly. But let's talk about who should you be picking here. For now, there's not a big amount of characters different from like a standard banner. There's Noro added here for this banner. There's Juzo, Uta, Ol, Yomo, Ito, and Tatsura. This is like probably this 6 characters are the ones you will be looking at. Probably you can exchange Noro from the arena, so you either have him maxed out or you are not much of looking to max him out either way after this one. So who should you be picking here out of all of these characters? I think I'll do like a priority list basically for this one. So the higher priority is gonna be Tatsura, Ito, and Yomo. Obviously, those 3 are the highest priority out of all of these characters. Especially, you will use them in much more than any other characters from here. Definitely, like standard banner characters as well as the arena characters are not even a question about buying any of those. This is definitely not worth for you. Using 8 of those to buy a standard banner character, no, thank you there. But Tatara and Ito, obviously, those 2 characters are used in Aogiri, and if you're an Aogiri player, definitely want to go for them. Yomo is a universal type character. You can use him in any team, and he's gonna be good as a backup character. Obviously, or Anteku, great pick. Would recommend going for Yomo if you're building an Anteku team. If you're an Aogiri fan and you're mostly using Aogiri, obviously this 2 are your main goal. All here is a little bit of a tricky one, because again, he's only used in Anteku, and not even in all-in Anteku teams. He's not that high on popularity in the Anteku team as well. But if you really was always thinking about building an Ol, you can do it, but again, I wouldn't recommend picking him over any other of those 3 characters. But you can go for him, I guess, if you really like him. Uta, as well as he's like at a 50-50 right now, because Sen existing is making Uta's life a little bit harder because of Sen again. But he's still a good support. He still could be played in any team, and still a very good diverse character. And if you have a big high investments on him, for example, you're like on D, on C, and you just want to get more CPU on this Uta because you're still using him, then it's a great idea to maybe go for him as well. But other than that, I don't think there's really a point for going for this Uta. Juzo, on the other hand, is also kind of interesting. He's gonna get some RC cell buffs. He's gonna get a new RC cell there. That's could make him more viable, with as well as with Jason being here. Those 2 worked really good together, and it could be very interesting to see how they synergize, as well as what those teams could look like a diverse Ahogiri plus CCG team. And that would be again interesting, so maybe that's something to consider. For maybe try to go for Juzo if you really like him again. For now, I don't, while this RC cell is not out, I don't think it's worth to go for Juzo again. He's like lower on priority list, but definitely higher than All for sure, or any other character here. And maybe he's pretty much on the same par with Uta. Kind of, they don't see much play, but again, those two characters are very strong overall, and definitely a good pick if you want to max them out or even use them, or if you're a big fan of those characters too. So overall, these three characters your main goal. Then you, if you maxed out these three characters, you can go for those two, and then for all, and then maybe if you maxed all of them, just save and wait for the next basically update for all of this crystal exchange stuff. Probably there's going to be more characters coming in, because we don't have Masked Rangy here, we don't have Hinami. For some reason there is Yomo there. That's like the most wild stuff. Why is Yomo here? And then like, why is Arima not here? Or why is Peitu and Toka not here? Akira, why are those characters not here if Yomo is here? But because there are also fragment ones, or like Itori, Ryoko. Why none of those characters are here? So that's a little bit weird to me, but I guess they're gonna be adding them once in a while to this crystal exchange, so you should be maybe waiting a little bit as well if you're looking for one of those characters to come in. Maybe at some point we'll get Akira here, and that would be a huge one. Then she would be probably top 1 priority to go for if Akira will be added here. Next one, I have the salvage shop. There's new RC cells for a few characters with specific effects for them, as well as the new material that you will be using for this salvage shop. If you actually press on the salvage shop here, and you, as I previously showed it in the other video, if you just use standard ones, nothing will happen like this. If you salvage standard ones, nothing will happen. None of these matters. So what you need to do is salvage and modify your C cells. So if you go to your characters, for example here on ISO, I have a modified one. So as you can see, here's this the icon with the modified one. So you can salvage this ones to get that material. But again, this material seems very, very hard to get. Someone on the stream, John, said that this require like 10 of those modified RC cells are exchanged for 20k. So this is basically for a random RC cell cascade. It's very expensive. Probably for free-to-play players for now, I wouldn't suggest doing this. Maybe at some in future they're gonna add some more ways for us to get the material for those modifications that we have, because right now we're using let me show it to you. We're using this material right here, promoter, to modify the RC cells. So maybe there's gonna be more ways to do that. We're gonna get it. Then maybe this is gonna be a little bit more viable, but for now it's very expensive and very hard to do. But if you have some of high investments on some of these characters, this could be a win-win for you. So right now we're going to talk about the RC cells on them, what their effects and how good are they. First of all, the first red Arima effect here, obviously he gets the attack buff, very good there. But his effect is, when the battle starts, grant 5 stacks of thunder, which with each thunder stack increase your max HP by 6%, and your thunder increases damage dealt by active skill by 7%. This is insane one. I think this is the best one out of all of these so far. I actually think this is the best one because this is insane. 35% buff on damage as well as 30% buff on HP is insanity. So I would say this is the best one for sure. So if you have high investments in red armor, you could consider going for this RC cell, and this is gonna be huge for you. Next one is Noro. Noro also gets the attack buff, great for him, he definitely needs that. Increased damage dealt to enemies with blood pierce by 20%, and when the battle starts, inflict blood pierce to all enemies for 1 turn. When attacking the target, taking additional damage by 10% of blood pierce, applies attack for 2 turns. Again, so he basically gets an instant 30% buff on in the beginning of the game already, and then whenever he attacks, he always reapplies the blood pierce, and it's gonna be happening all the time. So he gets instant 30% buff. I think this is great for Noro. I don't know how viable this is gonna be. Like, is this gonna make Noro actually meta or not? I guess we'll need to see. Someone who is whale probably will test it out, and if next, like after 1 week, you will be seeing Noro all the time in your RTA, that means this stuff is actually OP. Then I think, like, in that sense, this is extremely good. Buff for Noro. Centipede 1 is also insane. He obviously gets the attack buff, but his effect is when dealing crit damage to the target, deal additional damage equal to 10% of the skill damage to other enemy characters. So another 30% damage basically overall to the other characters. So 10% for every, basically 3 other characters that are gonna be there on the field. So this is also insane. I think if I would be putting this on like a tier list, the red armor is 1, then Centipede is 2, and Noro is 3 for now. Next one I want to talk about is the Kaneki one. I think this is very interesting one. He gets HP plus attack, great HP buff. He definitely needs that one to stay alive longer, and maybe with this one he will actually be able to get some additional, you know, maybe a charm from Toka or something like that, that will make it like easier to do. When your turn starts, if Frenzy is active, damage taking cannot exceed 18% of your max HP for 1 turn. I think this is incredibly good. This is basically making Kaneki unkillable. If you have charm on him, the enemy is required to go for him, so he's basically unkillable with this one. Because the damage he is taking is 80% of his max HP, so he definitely can't die on the first turn. But the thing is that he needs to start first. If he is not starting first, he can't apply Frenzy, because he applies Frenzy whenever he weakens someone. And that means you need to start first with Kaneki. So in that sense, if this was actually like, if you're able to start first, this is extremely broken. Very good for Kaneki. He can stay alive so much longer because of this. For sure, a very good stuff. But if you're starting second, it's gonna go very badly, because then most of the time Kaneki is dead even before he can do anything if he doesn't start first. So for the most part, this is gonna be useless for you if you're not starting first. So I wouldn't recommend going for anyone for this one, aside from if you have a triple S like Kaneki or something like that, and you always use Kaneki and you always have a high CP team that always starts first, then be sure to use this one. Then definitely it's a good value, big value for you for sure. Next one I would want to talk about Akira. So like in terms of tier list, this 1, 2, 3, and this is 4th, I think. In that sense, it's looking really good. After that, let's talk about Ol here. Before that, Ol getting HP, great for him, great for Ol for sure. For each time you gain 2 stacks of accumulation, grant yourself Flaming Blood for 1 turn. If Flaming Blood is active, restore 15% of your lost HP. Additionally, causes 25%. Okay, so restoring 15%, this is gonna be almost every turn. Every turn, because anyone who attacks gets accumulation, He can attack, he gets accumulation, so basically every turn you're gonna be getting 15% restore all the time. This is great for all. I think this is definitely increases his survivability as well as getting a lot of buffs here for himself. And I definitely think this is not something crazy, but this is definitely good and huge buff for all with this cell. So in that sense, he's gonna be number 5 on my list. Number 6 is gonna be Akira. This is great, like attack buff, defense, as well as HP buff. This is all great. I think she more needs of an attack, to be honest. She's already great with defense, and she's already very tanky. So on very high investments, she's very tanky. I would say like she needs more of a damage there, to be honest. But again, she can do some insane amount of damage as well on high investments too. But her exclusive effect is pretty simple. When battle starts, grant yourself a disruption immunity effect for 1 turn. I think this is like, out of all of them, this is not something too crazy compared to other ones. Like this buffs were insane. But this is again a good buff for her to increase her survivability, as well as like she's immune basically to a lot of stuff, and that makes her great. That's why she's 6. I think she could be like compared to maybe higher a little bit than this Kaneki or this Owl here. But in terms of buffs for these two do for those two characters, I think they're just overall better. And Akira would be even... She doesn't even need this one, to be honest. She's already good enough. So I would say something... I think they would be just better if they would add something for damage or anything like that. Akira would love that much more, and that would be much more crazier for her. Blaze Wing, I think this is the worst one so far, to be honest. I didn't like this one at all. But this is basically effect that Ayato has when dealing damage to enemies. Inflict lethal on the targets for 2 turns. Lethal unable to trigger any healing effect. So this just purely doesn't allow enemies to heal. Unfortunately, for Toka, it's not such a good buff. She definitely is lacking in terms of damage. That's definitely her worst part, because obviously in the beginning of the game she's insane, but in the end game she's just so much lackluster in terms of damage. She's not doing enough compared to characters that are even Akira on high investments is much more better in doing much more damage than this Red Toka, to be honest. So I wouldn't even go for this one, even if you really like Red Toka, as well as there's gonna be other Tokas. So please don't do this. This is not good. As well as like every of this Ursi cell has this buff here. So for example, if this is a red one, a strafe character defense related stats increased by 5% during battle. All of these ones have the same stuff. So like Akira is for buff for blue ones. Speed characters defense related stats 5%. All here for skill characters HP related stats by 5%. You know what I mean, right? This is the same goes for Centipede. Like for wheat characters, attack related stats by 5%. All of this is like that for characters here as well. So as well as don't forget that your exclusive equipment cap is leveled up, so you can go up to 200 right now. As you can see here, it was 150 previously, now it's 200, and you can go and level up your stuff right now if you want to. So other than this, I think that's it for today's video. I've probably talked about most of the stuff that is new to the game. It took a little bit more than I expected it to be. But don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Obviously, we're very close to 400, like actually very close to 400. So I would love to see you subscribe. And don't forget to join the Discord, because I always announce streams, videos on there first beforehand, as well as we always talk about the leaks, about all of that stuff that I don't really show in the videos, as well as other gacha games if you're interested too. Other than this, hopefully you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.